So now we're going to look at what the tax credits are if you work in a foreign country or have had to pay tax in a foreign country. So let's take a look at those. Okay, so the first thing we're going to take a look at is the foreign income exclusion. This is not a tax credit, nor is it a tax deduction. It's an income exclusion. It allows us to exclude some income. So it excludes up to $103,900 of earned income from U.S. taxation if certain conditions are met. This is the 2018 number. I believe it's like 106,700 or 107,600, something like that for 2020. So again, remember, I'm not trying to make a tax preparer out of you. I'm just getting you these triggers. You know, if somebody works in a foreign country, I want you to know the trigger that, yeah, there's a certain amount you can earn that would be excluded from U.S. taxation if you meet certain conditions. I don't know what that number is. Let's go look it up real quick. Super easy. So I think it's 106,000 approximately for 2020. But the conditions that you got to meet to be able to exclude the whatever the limitation is you can't have been on U.S. soil for 330 days of the year. So that means you could only have been in the U.S. for about 1 month. So, you know, a lot of times you'll go away and you'll come home for a few days, and you'll go away and you come back for a few days. You got to add all of that up and figure out how many days you were actually on U.S. soil. And as long as you were out of the country for 330 days or more for the year, you can exclude your income. The military doesn't count, civilian contractors of the U.S. government doesn't count, and it must be earned income. That means you've got to be out there earning that money, not just having investments or whatnot. What this does is this helps prevent double taxation. So if you're in a foreign country, you've probably created nexus, which means you're physically present in that country. So you have this connection with that country now. And if you're earning money in that foreign country, their laws probably state you're going to pay our income tax on it. And so if you're there for so long that you're almost treated like one of their citizens, then you don't have to pay tax on it here in the US. And so that'll help avoid double taxation, as you're going to pay tax on it in whatever country you're working in. And then if you had to come back to the US and pay tax on it again, now you're going to have double taxation. And some other countries have some very high tax rates. So it's possible you might earn a lot of money and have to pay, you know, 30 or 40% over there, and then come back here and pay another 15 or 20% of it here. But now keep in mind, you do have a limit. So anything over this limit is going to be taxed in the US just like it was taxed in whatever country you earned it in. The other way we're allowed to get out of the double taxation is the foreign tax credit. And what that does is that gives you a credit for the taxes you paid to a foreign country. We see this a lot on dividends and interest. So people, you know, it's so easy to buy shares or investments of foreign corporations these days that we see this a whole lot, that they will get a share of the foreign tax. But obviously, since it's not earned income, you don't qualify for the income exclusion. And so this is how we help prevent the double taxation. It's limited to the lower of two things here. One is the actual tax paid, and two is the ratio of foreign income to U.S. income without the credit. So let's look at an example of how that works. So Bob paid $500 in foreign taxes. So that's this number here. It's limited to the lower of $500 or this ratio that we've got to look at, and that's this $2,500, because that's his foreign income, over his U.S. income, $25,000. So that's going to give us a ratio. We're going to multiply that by his tax without the credit. And we're just saying, for example, his tax before the foreign tax credit was $1,642. We're going to multiply that, and we're going to get $164. So now it's the lower of the two numbers, either $500 or $164. So he will only get $164 tax credit. So yeah, we're not completely avoiding the double taxation here, but it does help a little bit. You know, and really most of the time when we see these things, they're very low numbers. We're talking $3, $4, $5. You know, if I see one that's $20, it gets kind of impressive. So I don't see a lot of that here in this area, but again, as people are buying more and more foreign companies, you see this type of thing coming to become more and more prevalent. The unused credit can be carried forward and help offset in future years. Okay, so that's some of the ways we help avoid double taxation on our foreign income. The easiest one, the best one, is just to not have to report it by using the foreign income exclusion, but that means you got to be in a foreign country for a long, long time. But that's not uncommon. I've had clients absolutely use that. So, but the foreign tax credit is pretty popular. We see it a lot. And again, it generally comes on your interest and dividend statements that you get from the brokers. It'll tell you how much of the foreign tax was your responsibility, and then we'll use that in our calculations of foreign tax credit. Coming up next, I have no idea because I didn't read my notes, but well, let's go to the next video and see what we're going to talk about.